Okay, hello everyone. We hope you all are doing fine. And welcome to the session by Women in Tech Triple IT Delhi. Let me introduce myself. I am Ayushi, and on behalf of WIT, I'll be present here to moderate the session for you guys. Before we begin, there's a protocol we follow to ensure the smooth conduct of the session. Firstly, we would like to request you guys to mute your speakers throughout the session. I can hear a lot of noise right now. Can you all please mute? Okay. So the session will be in a question and answer style where I'll be asking your questions that you have already received that we have received from the form responses to our speaker. Uh, Now, as we already have enough questions from you guys to cover up this 1 hour of session, we may not ask for any new on the spot questions. However, you can still write up any follow up or you can seek for clarity after your answer in the chat box. And I will try to coordinate them accordingly. So, in this session, as you all know, are going to cover mostly about applying to tech internships and jobs. So, let us welcome Anannya Uberoi with us, FTE at Amazon in Mildred. She is a 2019 pass out from our Triple IT Delhi, and she has also been one of the excitements of this club. Well, I could speak more, but let's have Ananya talk to us now. Hi, Ananya. Thank you for taking out this time for the session and joining us.
Hi Ayushi and
And
hi everyone who's joined in.
yes, so okay, I think we can begin with the questions. And okay, so starting with the first track that is on goals, decisions, profile development towards building your career. Can you tell us about your overall journey in the college in terms of what was your goal, what all things did you do to build your profile, etc.?
Yep. So I'll try to break it down into chunks of the 4 years of my bachelor's. Um, I hadn't programmed before, so I first year was essentially venturing into programming, learning C and Python, and I was pretty much lost because it's a lot to take in if you haven't coded before.
Yes.
Second year was mostly focusing on the essential CS courses. So you have operating systems, computer networks, databases, and computer organization to some extent. So these in themselves are pretty heavy courses and they require a fair amount of time. In the summer, I started thinking about probably interning somewhere, and I applied to this place called LVPEI, which is essentially it's an eye hospital, and they have a small incubation center over there, where they develop tools for eye care, sort of in the domain of biomedical, if you think about it. Um, and this was when I actually got into the whole loop of image analysis and biomedical applications of machine learning. And in the third year, I jumped into the intensive courses like machine learning and image analysis. And towards the end, I had actually developed my niche area of interest, which I felt was ML and IA. And this is when I started my B2P at the IAB lab under Professor Mayank and Professor Richa. And third year, my internship was at IBM Research Lab in Bangalore, which was in the domain of nothing that I had worked on before. It was actually in the domain of NLP and information retrieval. And then again, I had no experience in it. And again, there was a hands on that I had to do and I had to learn while on my internship. And in the fourth year, I actually took the time to dive deep into ML and its applications such as information retrieval, natural language processing as formal courses, because hands-on can only teach you so much, and there's a lot of concepts that you lack. So, which is why I went for these courses. And finally, yeah, I also took a break because you know you have to. And towards the end, I just took some like easier courses in philosophy and epidemiology, and it's just a good way to broaden your horizon.
Okay, nice. So, well, there were some questions from the audience that align this track, and
Mhm.
one of them is that how should one know in which CSE field should one build his or her career?
I would say the only way is to find out. You take up random courses, you do some projects in them, you partner up with your colleagues or your professors, and I don't know. You have to be very inquisitive and active about trying out new courses, exploring new domains, and just go up to the prof's office, discuss what his or her field is all about, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them will be happy to discuss with you. And I would say try a bit of both research as well as dev, because only one single I don't know, exposure will not help you make that decision, because it's a long term decision. And yeah, I think
Okay. Okay. So another one is that is it necessary to do first year internship?
I have no idea where this is coming from, but not at all. Why would you want to do an internship in your first year? Just relax and take some time out to build up on your basics of programming, and I don't know, do some volunteer work. That's what I did in my first year. So yeah.
Okay, great. So now there's one good question. How did you decide whether to take up a job or take up further studies? Do you ever think that higher education will benefit you in your current job or other positions in your company?
I personally watched this part up. I was really keen on higher studies, but I also wanted to wait it out, do a job for some years, and figure out if I wanted to do an MBA instead. And I just left it up to destiny. I applied to colleges, and I also applied to jobs. And I don't know, I just weighed out my options that way. And that decision is still not over for me, because I still have that capacity in me left for probably a higher study sort of thing. But yes, I had this conversation, interesting conversation with an alumni from our college in the first year, and he suggested that it's best to decide by the second year or towards the start of your third year, uh, which way you want to go. Is it higher studies, or is it a job? Because it is good to build your profile in that direction early on, and I don't know. It Since you have that sort of direction or that goal, you will not waste your time. Like if you're going for higher studies, if you want to do an MS or a PhD, you will not waste your time sitting for placements or preparing for coding interviews. And either way around. To answer your second question, uh, that do I think higher education will benefit me in my current job? No, because my current position is very programming and analytics intensive. Most of it is learned ad hoc. We have online courses internally within Amazon and wikis that we learn from, and I don't think any master's degree would actually help me get that sort of hands-on that is needed to learn. But yes, if I wish to transition to other roles, for example, a product manager or a software or development manager, in that case, the job requires you to have an MBA, at least if you're starting out new into a company. And same goes for I don't know, data scientist or data engineer or applied scientist roles that need you to have an MS as part of the job requirement. So yes, that transition would probably need a degree.
Okay, sure. So okay, that was very well answered. We can come to a second track, and that is about applying off campus or abroad. And so, firstly, we would like to know about your journey in research and your application procedure for Amazon.
Okay. Well, my journey in research was I actually started. It was mostly like I did an internship first that acquainted me with a certain area. or a certain application domain of machine learning. And then following that, I took up the formal course in it so that I have an entire view of that particular field. It could be either way. You could actually do a course first and then do an application or a research in that domain, a research project in that domain, which is equally good. I started off with that with a research internship at LVPEI Hyderabad, and following that, I started taking up courses. I think the focal point of my research journey was my BTP at IAB Lab. Following that, I think IBM research to a fair share in terms of NLP and IR domains and more courses. So yeah, that was the path that I took. The project comes first, and then a formal course in it. Um, my application procedure was for Amazon. Well, I actually applied on the careers website, I guess. I don't exactly remember, maybe July, August, or something like that. I got a mail back from them 4 months later with a link to a coding program, sorry, to a coding test, to an online coding round, which I gave. And then I think I received the response to that coding test almost immediately the next day. And they sent me some documents for telephonic interview preparation. After the interview, I again waited for about a month and got a response. Their major, I think the test that they have is the four on-sites, which is quite common. I think Google also has the same format. Amazon also has the same format. Four on-sites. Um, Back to back, it's 1 hour each, and then finally you have an offer. So it was a quite long process for me.
Oh, that's nice. So, also, like, how do you like target companies abroad for like Indian students, as in companies who hire for
Mhm.
Indian offices or do not, and how to approach and get interviews for the US or Europe offices?
Mhm. To target companies personally, in my case, I just applied online. I think I was just lucky that I got contacted back. For the US and
Hmm.
Canada, I would not suggest you to apply to companies because maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure how the situation is in Canada, but the US does not want to provide work visas to students from abroad. It is easier if you have a master's or a PhD from a US university as a stepping stone into your job at the US. But a direct job is highly unlikely. Um, with Europe, there are a few setbacks. 2 points, I think. One is that only the bigger companies tend to provide work visas. It is not common for a startup or even like a I don't know, a not so big company to provide work visa. Also, language requirement is another setback. So while I was hunting for jobs in Europe, I saw that IBM, which is quite big in India, has a requirement that the applicant must be a Spanish speaker. So there are certain requirements that you need to actually look into, unless it's the UK or Ireland, for instance, where English is the first language. Um, to target them, you should probably follow some recruiters from these companies on LinkedIn. Keep yourself updated on any hiring events or any, I don't know, they generally have like, certain points in time where they're hiring for a certain country or a certain city, actively. And yeah, and then once you have that sort of idea about what locations are hiring, apply on the careers website right away with a good resume. Yep.
Yes. So, I think this is about off campus. How to go about the entire like job or internship search in a more systematic or organized manner, which is the same for
Mhm.
basically off campus applications to tech giants as well. So, as
Right.
in, like, how do you proceed with a proper manner?
Mhm. Okay. So to answer this question, yes, I would say that it's very difficult to keep track of all the applications that you have and all the companies that you want to apply to. It can be really like challenging and exhausting at the same time. You should maintain a list of companies that you target to apply to. Keep it realistic. Keep some companies that you always have a good chance at to fall back to. And I don't know, use some utility tools. I guess there are some tools. I don't know. I just use Google Keep, but there are better tools out there to help manage your applications, and I'm sure there are. Use those if it's very hard to manage these. And off-campus giants, I think, are best approached via hiring events or playing the cards on careers websites. Um, Apart from these, there are some large-scale, I don't know, career fairs like GHC or GHCI. I remember that in my third year, I was really, yeah, I didn't have an offer at hand, so I actually bought a ticket to the career fair at GHCI Bangalore. Yes, that was
Okay.
2019, 2018. Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's easier when all the companies are in the same place and you have your resume and you
Mm.
can just hand it out to everybody.
Mm.
So yeah,
So, like, if I could summarize, it's generally like you apply to the career websites of every companies in general. If
I
that's
would
the
say
case.
it's somewhat easier as well because tracking all these people on I don't know on LinkedIn, and I don't know, even the referral drives that you have on LinkedIn have some thousand replies, and there's no way that anybody is actually going to take your comment or your email and going to refer you. It's just,
Okay.
I mean, unless they have a better mechanism for it, it's not a very easy way out over there either. So careers website, yes, at least if they're hiring, the HR will take a look at your resume.
Okay. So I think there is a question along these lines, which says, "What are the hiring events that you may be aware of? Like, could you
Okay.
be able to list a few?"
To be honest, I
Uh,
only know of Grace Hopper, but I think there are some more. So GHCI is definitely one of the best, and
yes. Yes. True.
it's even not just for girls. I would like to put an emphasis to that because I have seen guys as well. Also, the career fair is free. You just need a ticket to Bangalore. That's it. And
Okay.
I would definitely, if I know of any more, I would be happy to share.
Yes. Okay. Definitely. So, moving on to the next question. Now, how to get interviews at product-based companies if they don't come on campus?
Okay. Product-based
So, I think
companies are
it's
really,
on sim.
uh-huh. Again, I think my drill would be the same. You have some companies that don't come to your campus, and you really like, I don't know, you really like, or you're aligned with their work ethics or their values or whatever interesting stuff they're doing. Definitely apply online. A few LinkedIn searches as well, hashtags, or I don't know, some HRs who may be active on LinkedIn who generally post a lot about open positions or offices that are hiring. And finally, the best way out, I think, is to target the alumni who are working at that company from your college. Generally, alumni are the focal, the like I don't know, they should be your point of contact
Okay.
if you want to apply to a certain company. Yep.
I think Rupal has mentioned that there's also a hiring event by Amazon, wow,
Okay.
for final year women, right?
Yes, in fact,
So
now that
that
I
is also.
remember, there were some hiring events by even Adobe. So I think these companies do have hiring events that just like happen sporadically sometime in the year. And yes, you should keep an eye out for the companies that you want to apply to.
Okay. Yes. So next is, are there still openings for FANG companies for the students graduating in 2020?
I think there so must be. Google and Amazon are still hiring amidst the COVID crisis. I'm not sure about other companies, but yes, I can speak for my company. So yeah, Amazon is hiring.
Okay. And when should one actually start applying to these fan companies?
I think once you're fairly confident with your interview prep, off campus, I think, I don't know, if this is an off-campus preparation, I think 3 to 6 months of preparation. But if it is an on-campus hiring event, then like I think you should go ahead regardless of how much preparation you have, because there's always a very high chance of getting selected. I would say don't miss your chance. At least apply once. And with Google, I think they generally suggest a 6 month period before you apply again. But if you can prove to the recruiter that you have worked hard and you are prepared for another interview, they'll be very happy to take it 4 months or 3 months after the application as well.
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, there's a new question from the audience. So, any advice for getting research internship at
Hmm.
tech giants for undergrads?
I
I think
don't
that
I
is.
don't think it's okay. This is an internship. Okay, so
Hmm.
so Amazon and
So
Adobe do
Amazon
have
and
divisions. Um, I'm sorry, somebody is.
somebody.
Prince, can you please? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So Amazon and Ruby do have research divisions, and in fact, I even looked at, I don't know, some sort of research internship positions that may be open, but they don't hire interns. They don't like to hire interns because, I mean, it's a very research intensive uh, job,
Hmm.
and it doesn't make sense because by the time you train the interns, they'll be gone. And I think
Okay.
it's better to get an MS or a PhD if you are that interested in research. Don't worry about the internship so much. Go for an MS. It doesn't matter, even if you don't have a research internship on your profile. Apart from that, I would suggest two good companies, IBM Research and Microsoft Research, even to some extent TCS Innovation Labs, if you want to get a beginner's experience
Hmm.
into research. Uh, but yeah, that would be it. The tech giants don't like to hire undergrads for research roles.
Research internship. Yeah, yeah, sure. Hmm.
Yeah, even the
Okay,
full-time
so
roles
I
don't
think
have
we
them
have
open for
covered a
undergrads.
truth.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. So we have covered two tracks, and there are now very specific questions related to them, which
Hmm.
is like getting work authorization in the foreign country if the company does not sponsor it. Is it possible?
Next to impossible, if you ask me. You need the company to sponsor your visa. Otherwise, it's because
Okay.
these visas actually work on the company sponsoring you. There's no way you can actually pay them $1 million and get a visa. I mean, unless you're that rich. But yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And another one is like, how do you approach to professors for a project with them?
Okay, yeah. If the professor is from your college, I think you don't have to be that formal. You can just go up to the desk or the cabin of
Hmm.
such and such professor, try to talk to them about what work they have. I feel a lot of people who actually want to work with professors tend to push them like too much that, okay, just take me. You should actually, ideally, you should also be interested in what's going on. You don't want to work on something that you are yourself not interested in, and neither does a professor want an uninterested
Hmm.
student working on his or her project. So, one thing that I did at the end of my second year, I really wanted to get an internship or some view in the biomedical domain itself. So I applied. I wanted to. I got in touch with a professor from CSIR, Delhi, and well, it was a very informal mail that I just shot him one summer, just randomly looking over his profile, and my email was just very to the point that I like the work that you do, and can I just I don't know, visit the lab or something, because I'm also like I stay in Delhi. So is it possible to just visit your lab and look at the work that you're doing? And he was more than happy to actually, like, I don't know, take me through the lab and the different projects that he had under him. And I think that sort of human touch goes a long way instead of just pushing a very template-ish email to so and so professor and attaching your resume. Like they aren't interested. They want people who are actually, I don't know, want to take the time to understand their work instead of just pushing their profiles at them.
Yes, true. Yeah. Okay, so we can now come to the resume track, where you can share with us like how detailed or compact should the resume be. Like
Hmm.
some of us have multiple projects to showcase, and so how do we prioritize them and make sure that a resume doesn't look cluttered, and like how many pages should it be, etc. Yeah.
Okay. If you have a college resume that you use for on-campus hiring, for example, in Triple IT Delhi, we have a Triple ITD format, then it can be detailed. There's no issue with that because like you can have it even going. Mine runs, I think, 3 pages. It's okay. But if you have a separate resume that you use for off-campus applications, it should be maximum of 1.5 pages. I think no more than that if you're an undergrad. Um, Talking about prioritizing projects, I think my answer is don't prioritize. Why do you want to prioritize? Maintain versions of the same resume, which is one major reason that I use LaTeX, because when I'm applying to, let's say, a research internship, I want to highlight my research projects more. But if I'm applying to a dev-based role, I would like to highlight, I don't know, my Java projects or and so on. So I think you don't have to clutter all your projects. Just prioritize and keep, I don't know, 5 projects for each kind of role or each kind of application. And think in terms of the recruiter. What would they be interested in if they are hiring you for XYZ position? For instance, if you're applying to, let's say, Amazon or Myntra, you would like to highlight projects that involve collaborative filtering or data science. For Google, you would like to highlight projects in NLP or machine learning. So you can just customize these on the go, and that's why I suggest having LaTeX-based resumes. Yep,
So basically, like the company in which we are applying, it should be specific to their interest, and we should on the go keep changing our
precisely.
resume. Yes. Mm, yeah. Okay. So next is a preparation for the interviews. So one general question is like how to prepare for an interview. What kinds of questions are asked?
Okay. Um, I think you need to prioritize short-term versus long-term preparation. If you're preparing for Google or for Amazon or for Facebook, for instance, you would want to devote some, I don't know, 2, 3 months to the preparation at least. For on-campus, uh, do a short-term preparation for the company because you probably only have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days until the company visits the campus. In this case, I think do some research online about the core values or the principles of the company. Take any recruiter preparation documents that you get in your email very seriously because these are the closest sources of truth. Um, and after you are like, I don't know, after you are well acquainted with these two, start hunting for company tags on Geeks for Geeks, InterviewBit, Glassdoor, and so on. Um, do these company tags and basic reading. If you have more time, then you can do a more in-depth search about the company. A rule of thumb is to be strong in core DSA. And finally, the kind of company as well would depend, would affect the kind of questions asked. For instance, networking companies like VMware tend to lean towards computer networking concepts more, and TAR research leans more towards operating systems and DBMS to some extent. So it's a very company specific question. Um,
So where do we get this idea from? Like, is it online or like do we ask
You
people
can
or
ask
like?
people, but the best way is to go online. I think there are lots and lots of resources on Geeks for Geeks now, and it's expanding like crazy for all the companies. But yes, let's say you have, I don't know, 1 or 2 days and you don't have enough time to prepare, then you can probably call up somebody that you know who works at the company or who interviewed at the company to give you like a small breakfast, I don't know, a 15-minute or a 20-minute talk about what is important.
Okay, so now what is the required coding experience level for a good internship?
I think
Is a question from
it
the
should be a
audience.
decent one. You should have a good grip of DSA fundamentals at the minimum, um, and yeah, I mean it would depend from place to place, but it's also a lot about luck, which is why I suggest that you should sit for every good company that visits your campus, because it's not a linear graph between the level of coding experience and the kind of offer that you would get, the degree of I don't know, however you try to rank offers, but yeah, the rank of your offer. It's not linear in any sense. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on the
Hmm.
interviewer. It depends on the hiring status of the company. So yeah, but do have a decent coding level. I think after you have that decent level, then you can apply for wherever. You can even apply for Google. It's actually pretty.
Okay.
It's a myth, I
There's.
think, that you have to, I don't know, solve 200 questions on LeetCode. I never did any of that. And I have a friend of
Hmm.
mine who's in this meeting right now, and she never did any of that, and she has an offer from Google. So it's really a myth. You don't have to. Once you're confident, it's good enough. The path is clear. You can do two questions and be confident, and you don't need to do 200. I mean, it's no there's no standard for that. So.
Hmm. Yes, makes sense. There's one question right now from the audience. It says, have you been invited to Hyderabad office for on-site interviews or went to current office to give the interviews? Like, how was
Okay.
your on-site interview experience?
So I was not invited to the Hyderabad office. In fact, there was a friend of mine who gave an interview, and mostly what they do is they provide you with a ticket to whatever country the office is located in, and they will have the office, like they'll have the interview on site in that particular office itself. So, for instance, office of Madrid. But during my time, there was, I don't know, it was they planned it too quick, so they could not actually have that entire trip planned for me. In advance. So I had my on-sites via Chime, which is Amazon's video conferencing system. And about my interview on campus, like, so sorry, about my final interview experience. So in Europe, they actually have the interview process divided into two parts. One part is your behavioral and HR interviewing, and the other part is the coding test, the coding question. So 1 hour interviews, 4 interviews, that is 4 hours of interview in total. Every interview is split into two parts.
Hmm.
The first half is the first 30 minutes, which is a behavioral question, and the second half is a live coding question where you're supposed to code on some document that they provide, and also, I don't know, speak up your mind the same way that I think Google interviews are conducted, that you speak up your mind, devise the algorithm, and yeah, and have a solution ready by the end of it.
Okay. So, yeah, so I think, are there any resources that you would like to suggest for, preparation for coding or interviews?
I personally used HackerRank because I like the way that the questions are divided. But I've seen that uh, some people have CodeShare for other platforms that work better for them. I think you need to pick a platform that you can actually stick to. For instance, I don't know, Code Chef didn't feel very intuitive to me, so I didn't practice on it. Lead code again. Lead code was suggested to me by a senior, and I really liked that. So for me, I think HackerRank and Lead Code were the two platforms that I practiced on.
Okay, okay. And could you also tell like how the on-site interviews are versus like off-site interviews?
Um, you mean on-site or versus off-site, like on video?
Yeah, so like in off-site we are on video and in
Yeah,
on-site like is there any difference or is it
I don't think there is
like
because the level of nervousness is the same, and I don't know. I think it's potentially the same. Honestly, I feel more comfortable on site because I interviewed at Google as well. I didn't get through, but I remember when I was interviewing at Google, the very fact that you have the person sitting in front of you and you have a whiteboard and you have a notebook.
yeah,
I mean, that really and the way that they try to make it comfortable for you is it is also more effective as compared to a face-to-face on video. I'm never comfortable on video, to be honest.
yeah.
But I guess in these times we have to get used to
Now
I don't know, video calls. Yeah.
yeah.
So I think yeah.
Okay, so uh, now next we just have like do you have any tips like while you are in the interview process how do you approach a question or like how do you attempt an interview basically?
Well, there's this very wise saying that I heard from somebody that once you get the interview, landing a job is entirely in your hands. You have bypassed the resume, you've bypassed the coding round, you've bypassed the telephonic round if there is any. So these people actually want to hire you. They don't want to reject you. You need to know that. And I think with that mindset, you'll have more confidence in attempting the interview. Also, these people are there to help you. They're not here to make you feel bad about yourself. Also, these people want somebody that they can work with. So, how would you want your employee to be? You would want your employee to be, I don't know, open and I don't know, willing to discuss different approaches, different solutions. Even if you have a problem in the company, you would want your employee to not just be a robotic person sitting on a laptop and coding. You want that person to have a human touch. You want that person to be able to communicate well, because I mean, how else would a company work, right? So this is the thing that translates into the interview process. They want you to think out loud. They want you to engage with the interviewer, read his or her signs, and take their hints very seriously because they obviously know the solution and they want to help you. So they'll be dropping some hints here and there when they find that you're stuck. Um, Simple things like quick comments about, I don't know, for instance, okay, generally people go with the easiest approach first and then optimize their solution, right? So when you say that, okay, now this solution doesn't really look good, I think I need a better solution. In what terms is this solution not good? Which complexity is compromised? Is it the space complexity? Is it the time complexity? Which blocks of code can be made better? um, you know so all these I don't know, the more descriptive you are about your approach, as long as you're not taking too long or talking too much, you should be. Yeah, you should actually, and ideally an interviewee should reveal a dimension of the question that the interviewer had himself or herself not thought of. So I think that is one way to impress the interviewer without actually even getting to the solution. And yes, again, there are some quirks that some people do. For instance, like if the question is if they know that the question has been seen by them before, they're just going to say that, oh, I've seen this question before. Can you please change it for me? But of course, do that only if you're confident enough to be faced with a brand new question. But yeah,
Okay,
stuff like that.
okay.
Yeah.
And there's one thing like when the interviewer asks you at the end that do you have any question for me and stuff. So
Yes.
what do you think we should answer at that time?
So
Like,
I don't know. During my interview, I had four interviews, so four questions to be asked to the interviewers. Judging on the way the interviewer was interacting with me, like if it was somebody who I felt was very, I don't know, interested or preoccupied with office, so I would ask about what the office, what work life is like, and what projects they work on, and definitely ask about the projects that they have on the team. They would obviously not reveal a lot because it's corporate information, but you will get a small idea of what kind of projects they're doing. Um, During my last interview, the interviewer was a very I don't know, friendly, seemingly friendly person. So I asked him what life is like, and what tip would they have for somebody who is coming from India to Madrid. So I mean, yeah, definitely show that you're curious about the company because you probably are, which is why you're interviewing there.
yes, yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, I think we have reached the end of our themes. Now we just have a
Hmm.
few specific questions
Okay.
regarding them. Okay, one of them is like, I feel my CGPA thrusts me away from good opportunities. So, what do you think? Like, is CGPA important in like while applying or in such
Okay.
in tech?
Two branches to this question. If you're applying for a research role, maybe, yes, your GPA could thrust you away from a good deal of opportunities. But I mean, again, that should not stop you from applying. I'm just saying as a very practical, I don't know,
Yeah.
yeah, approach. But yeah, with dev, honestly, they don't care. If you can code well,
Hmm.
and if you have good projects, then you're good to go. And generally on campus, they have some thresholds. Like, I don't know, some companies have six, some companies have seven as a threshold for the GPA. But after you've crossed that threshold, they don't treat candidates any differently. It all depends on your interview in the end. They may ask you to provide a reason to explain why your GPA is low. Again, this is something that very few interviewers would do. I would not say everybody would, but if somebody gets to your resume and I don't know, starts asking questions, you should have a good answer for that in mind.
Hmm.
Maybe you were more interested in competitive coding, which is why you spent a lot of time doing that. Maybe you have some projects to backfill for a small for a lesser GPA. So just have a question in mind. But I don't think it matters if you're applying for a dev role. It seriously doesn't.
Then one question is like, how can someone from an institute with no research background or opportunities pursue research, or let's say even like job in machine learning and data science?
Okay. One way would be to find professors. It is again very taxing and exhausting to write emails to professors and I don't know, find a project that is good fit for you. The other way, honestly, I would give this suggestion to anybody who wants to pursue research in machine learning and data science is get a master's by writing either GATE or GRE. And I think this is the best way to go about it because the kind of things that you would learn in a master's is something that you would never learn at an undergrad level. So, on the long term, you would need a master's, even if you go for a role right now, right away in research or something. You would need a master's. IBM, in fact, encourages people to get a master's. Okay, coming to the kind of roles that you get for data science, I don't think any research experience is required. You just need to have good
Hmm.
coursework in mathematics, like the basic courses like probability and statistics and so on. But for machine learning, you need some research experience. One way that I suggest is if you don't have research experience and you want to go for a research master's, you can apply for a project based master's. It is not as competitive as a research track master's program, but nobody is to say that your project cannot be converted into a research paper. So once you get to the good college, you are connected to the good professors, like you're connected to a good network of people who are doing research in the kind of domain that you want to go for. And take up a coursework or a project based master's. It's easier to get in, but once you are in, then you can publish, I don't know, 2, 3 papers during the course of your study, and nobody is to stop you from that. So I think that is one very weird way to look at it, but it works.
Hmm. Okay, so we can move on to the next question, and it's like, how can one prepare for roles like product manager?
Mhm. Okay, very slight chance of getting this particular role after bachelor's, to be honest. I would say again, get a master's or get an MBA in technology. Again, there is one role I think called associate program product manager. Sorry, and I have heard about this role. In fact, I was remotely interested in it as well when I was applying to jobs. And there is this person on LinkedIn called Anurima Sharma. I'm not sure if you're connected with her, but she posts very good preparation material for product manager on LinkedIn. And I have bookmarked some of these myself for the future.
So, as in, there is some associate product manager role basically available for graduates as well.
There are some, yes, but they're very competitive because a lot of people want to go into it straight away without having an MBA.
Okay. Okay, so I'm mostly done with our registered questions and all, but there are few new questions about you. So
Mhm.
one of them is like, how do you cope up in this new country? Like, have you faced any imposter syndrome?
Thankfully, I don't know. I would say that my team has been very welcoming, which is why I didn't face any imposter syndrome. In fact, they want me to learn, and I think any company should give a new hire the enough um, uh, resources and the time to grow, and not just be thrown at projects or you know. And I think it's a good balance between learning and applying your knowledge, or I don't know, contributing to the code base. And a good manager would have a balance of both of these for a new hire. But apart from that, coping up in the new country, I made some friends, and I think you eventually have to. And these friends can come from anywhere, mostly your office, or if you go to a new country, generally your flatmates, or if you take up a shared apartment, that give you that kickstart so that you can have somebody to hang out with. So I think, yeah.
Okay, so next one is like, what projects are you working at at Amazon?
Okay, so essentially, there is this new Amazon marketplace called Amazon Business. So Amazon is B2C, which is business to customer. Amazon Business is a B2B platform. So this is when companies bulk order some supplies for their office. And it's a fairly nascent marketplace. It started about 2 years ago, and it's already one of the major projects at Amazon. And they have Amazon Business operates in Madrid, Seattle, and Hyderabad at the moment. Only three offices in the world. So, so the project I'm working on is essentially regulating. So when you're a business customer, you have some regulations. You don't want your employees buying, I don't know, vodka or beer off the Amazon retail website, right? So there are a lot of customizations that need to be made to the retail website to be able to for it to be ready for business customers. So that's what our team works on.
Okay. Okay, there's another very interesting question that is, uh, the slack of European English would be quite difficult to understand. Would have you faced that?
I don't think it's difficult to understand. They understand the Indian slang pretty well, and
Hmm.
again, so the people in my office, some of them are from the US, most of them from Europe, and again, different parts of Europe have different ways of pronouncing English words. Like French accent is different from German accent, different from Spanish accent. So I think it's a little like, but it's never difficult to understand. I think you get used to it. It's pretty open that way.
I think our session was very well because we have mostly covered a lot of things. All the tracks have been covered,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
even the questions have been well answered.
Thank you.
So if you know, if you, yeah, if you could then just give out like some one pointers in general, like
Uh-huh.
whatever you have said till now,
Mhm.
as in with from profile building to to if you should have goals, and then like about resume or about interview, only one liners to summarize. I think that will be
Okay.
fine then.
I think one important part to the profile building is the resume, and some tips about the resume. It should represent you as a person, because this is the only document that the recruiter is going to see, or your prospective
Hmm.
manager is going to see. So it should represent you as a person and also represent the fit for the job or the role. It should have zero grammatical or wording error. Concise and to the point resumes are always preferred. And you should order it well. All the sections involving contact information, education, work experience, achievements, volunteering work, also to some extent, especially if you're applying for masters, they actually do care about your volunteer or community work, at least at the undergrad level. And finally, extracurriculars and positions of responsibility. There was this question, what to add and what to skip from resumes.
Hmm.
So what to add would be anything and everything that is relevant to the position. What to skip actually accumulates more and more over the years, because you have more
Hmm.
projects, you have more work ex. So there are some which may not be relevant anymore. And you have to be very brutal and very hard on yourself, because you may have written a section very well, but if it's not relevant, then you have to cut it out. And I think after 3 or 4 cuts you just get used to it, and it's no more. You don't feel that oh, I'm cutting something out, or I don't know, my hard work is, I don't know, going to ruins. But yes, and also so for instance, I skipped some of my extracurriculars out, and you can even merge sections. This was a realization that came to me when I realized that most of my extracurriculars align with my positions of responsibility or leadership. For instance, being the editor, EIC of the college magazine, or being the head of literary
Hmm.
fests, or a coordinator at WIT, for instance, or Lunchbox Philosophers. All of these roles were actually taken because I had interest in them. So these are actually my extracurriculars. So I merged these sections, together. So this is a way you can compact some sections from your resume and skip some of the projects that are not major anymore, because you have to have the 5 best projects on your resume. That should be the rule of thumb. And again, keep different resumes for different roles, which I explained before. And LaTeX definitely makes it easier to have that. One key point I would like to add before I sum up the session is you should have a LinkedIn profile. Here in Europe, recruiters actually look at your LinkedIn profile. They don't care for your resumes. And having your LinkedIn profile updated is almost as important now as having a good resume. So you should keep that in mind as well.
Okay. So there's one question like, is there any specific strategy that in COVID situation right now, like there you can prepare or something like as
Um,
we
okay, any specific strategy? Uh, I think take
can
take the
just sit
time.
and prepare.
Yeah, take the time that you have, since you're not having to travel anywhere or not having to
Hmm.
go to college or whatever. Take the time to, I don't know, solve problems on lead code, for instance. But yeah, don't throttle yourself, because it's a tough time for everybody, and you don't have to be productive. It's okay. But yeah, take it one day at a time and go easy on yourself if you can find some time to, I don't know, solve some problems or take that time to actually do the projects that he could not do before. And I think it's going to be a tough time for hiring. Yeah, I think it's going to be increasingly important to have off-campus applications this time because a lot of offers are being resigned. So yeah, I think that's all.
I think audience is thanking you as well for the session.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody.
So I hope everyone they got what they needed from this session, and because we are, I think we are done with the questions. Thanks. So we
Okay.
can, yeah, we can then
Okay.
say goodbye.
Sure. Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ananya,
you.
for your time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Bye bye.